And we are back. Alfonzo and Antroid here. Don't know why I said in that order. Probably because Alfonso is going to be talking a bit more than me, because, well, I haven't really done any sort of replaying that would warrant a recap or something like that, so I'll just have some opinions as we go, and Alfonso is going to have all the freaking trivia, so feel free to start while I find my bearings around here.
Well, I suppose I can do that. Howdy folks, Alfonso here. This is map 16 called Cul-de-sac by one Pavera, whose maps Antroid has actually enjoyed the most, I think. He did the Boiler, which was map 5, and also map 11. The former of which you liked in particular, and that was a McGee map. This is a sandy map. He initially said that he wanted to make, well, the idea behind Cul-de-sac was that he was asking the question, what if Sandy had decided to do the inmost ends instead of McGee? And he actually revealed this to us after he completed it for the first time, and we were actually kind of confused because, well, it didn't really strike us as the inmost end sort of style in any way, but then I guess, you know, if it's supposed to be in the style of Sandy, then that shouldn't really come as a surprise. It was one of the last maps to be edited down to size. Quite a few maps are actually super large. Map 6 was another example. Talsman actually had to come in and reduce the size of most areas except for like the big central water area here by about like 2 times. So other than that, it's been dividing of opinion for the people who've played it. I personally think it does the whole sandy sort of almost pit-esque sort of separate abstract ideas that sort of link together in a loosely cohesive layout, but aren't really special in any sense. Like the layout isn't particularly noteworthy in the sort of E2 sandbox style or anything. Not sure there's that much to say about the map initially beyond that. We'll have to play some more of it before I remember anything off the top of my head.
It's interesting that you guys seem to have a lot of cooperation between different mappers on the same map in your project. I don't know if I'm used to that idea. I mean, I probably wouldn't want anyone meddling with any map of mine. I would just be content with trying to fix it myself, or just not including it in the project. But having someone edit it down, something like that, I don't know if I would allow that.
Well, there was actually, I mean, well, most of the mappers that were involved in the project, well, the mappers responsible for the maps that ended up being included in the project, not necessarily all of the people who submitted maps, but the really keen ones who actually frequented the IRC channel called #D2TWID, TWID, and I guess one could say that that's, you know, partly responsible for, almost entirely responsible for why, you know, the maps of those who frequented that channel ended up getting in, because we were always in conversation with each other. We were always, you know, willing to throw it back and forth. It was just a mutual understanding from the word go that, you know, although we had separate names for separate maps, it was everyone's maps in a sense, because we would always be discussing it right up to the last moment. In Pavera's case, though, he's just an easygoing guy. He's just like, okay, I finished the map, you know, take a look at it, I'll edit it if I like. I kind of wanted to leave this in, but then otherwise, you know, it's over to you guys. You know, if you want to make edits to it, then that's not, you know, I'm not going to object. So he's a pretty easygoing guy, as Pavera.
I wonder if it's partially because of the nature of the project, where you aren't really supposed to go all out your style, showing off what you can do, and just contribute. And I guess nothing wrong with if you help contributing by providing a map that gets fixed up in the end and gets included. Or if there was a project that encouraged the most individualistic, I guess, creativity, if all of you would have been as fine with stuff like that, if someone had to go around and finish all the maps. I think I heard about Back to Saturn X that Essel was doing some sort of editing on many maps there, or something like that.
I'm not really liable to speak about Back to Nest because my involvement in it is nil. aside from wanting to do some part times, which I haven't even brushed up on. I don't even really think I've offered any feedback to it. But my understanding is that Backset Next is so it's a really tightly run ship. But it doesn't sacrifice the creativity of any of the mappers, at least from what I've seen. Rather, instead, it's unified in a goal in what it wants to look like. And so in the interest of creating a project that feels like it's cohesive, of course there's going to be some sort of Nazi authority, shall we say, at the heart of everything to try and good at Doom, Antroid. Wonderful.
Definitely.
To try and just not remove creative integrity or anything, but ensure that everyone's on the same page. It's probably the best way of looking at it. I mean, I can't say anything more than that. I'd have to hand it over to someone like Ethel. But compared to something like Doom to the Way, it might have been in my best interest, frankly, when I created the thread, to say that if you're contributing to this project, you should probably expect those who might be more passionate about the project than yourself to sort of point out things about your map that might need changing. And if you're around to sort of comment on that and refute some of our points, or citing Doom 2, and are there to edit it, then the map will turn out for the better for it.
It's kind of funny how you guys were so thorough with the discussing your maps and stuff, and you didn't notice that they were much too good for them to, in the end.
Well, yeah, they are. I mean, we might have touched upon this beforehand, saying that they're clearly well too produced, right? But again, this is just something to be expected. The only way we could get that right, to have it literally be as sloppy as Doom 2 is just to work within the same time frame. And we couldn't get enough people to submit enough maps, so we decided to go the route of just trying to emulate the faults as best we could, without strictly including them, sort of letting them happen.
I know it doesn't sound very difficult to just try to be shitter at mapping, even without time constraints. Just I don't know, don't really do many revisions of whatever you do, only fix the crucial bugs.
Well, maybe, but I mean, when you're also telling yourself that there are rules that need to be followed, then it's kind of difficult to keep those two things in your mind at the same time. Particularly with someone like Romero, who appears to follow very strict rules. You're constantly going over your map, thinking, did I do this right? Did I do that right? And at the same time, you're trying to be, floppy as fuck. It's kind of a difficult trend to follow.
Romero's maps are probably the least, I guess, overly nice, because his maps were good in the first place. But the thing I'm noticing most about maps being too good, I guess it's maybe that the McGee maps are a bit the gameplay and the layouts in them are probably a bit better than he ever did in the original game. And Sandy's maps do not look sufficiently awful, but maybe it's just me, I don't know. I'm used to that kind of look.
Sandy's a speed mapper. Oh. Basically. So a couple of things to comment about the map itself. The one you just passed through. I'll have to ask Pavera about this actually, because it may completely be coincidental, but I think there's a lot of texturing in this map that was supposed to be similar to the Citadel, in that I think we might have actually brought it up before. We used a lot of Doom 1 texturing, which is to suggest that it was at one point a Doom 1 map that had been transposed over to Doom 2. And then there's just sort of Doom 2 textures slopped en masse in areas like this Stone 2 here, I think it is. Stone 2, Stone 3.
Who cares?
Or Stone... Yeah. Stone something. Stone 6?
Stone.
Whatever. But this room's kind of interesting, because when Tansman was very quickly trying to shrink everything down to size, he didn't move the things around properly, and so we ended up with Hell Knights stuck in the ceiling / floor.
Oh, wow.
And up until about a couple of minutes before we finally put out the release, they were left in. We thought that was a good leave it in opportunity, and we were talked out of it by someone. It might have just been myself. But maybe I should have had the confidence, just leave those stock Hell Knights in. I guess, Sandy would have play tested it at least once and noticed a fuck up of that magnitude, so... Oh well, it had to be removed. Shame.
I'm loving the low ceilings here. I don't know why.
Yeah, I do like it.
I wonder if it's the minimal possible hide here.
56,
56
yeah.
here.
56 or 60, something like that.
I think 56 should be. Okay. And I'm, surprisingly enough, not getting too lost yet. I had to run across the perimeter of the map twice, but well, I guess that's still better than you could have expected. I think we'll probably just finish up the city episode in this session and stop before hell, and then I can do maybe some more replaying and stuff.
Well, if map 19 is as difficult to get through as some people suggest, then that seems quite likely.
I sure hope we can actually finish the city maps before I have to go sleep or whatever it is you do after our recordings. But I'll try, and if I cannot, I guess you should probably remember where to go and what to do. Touchdown did complain that some of these maps were kind of confusing, and that was kind of spooky to me because I managed to get lost in the maps that weren't supposed to be confusing because I just wasn't thinking about what I was doing and where I was going.
Well, surely that would bode well. I mean, you're
yes,
going to fly through the maps you're supposed to get lost in, and then when you get to something like map, I don't know, a really easy to get through map, like one in E3, you're going to stand around being lost for 2 hours.
It's going to be wonderful entertainment material. Alright, now to remember where the blue whatever was. I guess shouldn't be too hard to find. There is not... Oh, there it is, I think. What actually is a cul-de-sac?
It's a dead end, a no-through road. Can't go any further, turn around and go back. And I think Pavaro just chose the name because he said it sounded cool, which is good enough by us.
Yeah.
And, you know, not that it isn't up to him, because that's probably what Sandy would have done. Certainly what McGee did. I mean, I'm pretty sure id Software weren't really, you know, pouting their lips over the name Gauntlet because it didn't have a U in it. Would have said, oh yeah, doesn't have a U. That's cool. Leave it in.
That was the most wonderful key thing here. Going there just to pick up the yellow key for this door.
Yeah, that was actually debatable for a point. In fact, I think I might have even called it pointless in a way that Sandy might not have done, but I think I was refuted soundly on that point. Someone cited a map that I can't remember at the moment, which that was the case.
Huh.
This map used to be loaded with revenants, or at least this part of it. So when we completed one of the earlier betas and had a look at the monster counts, revenants were way up there. We needed to axe about 33% of them or more to bring it down to Doom 2 levels. That was just, you know, one of the modernisms that crept in without us really thinking about it. This is my favourite room on the map. I think it's just wonderfully Doom 2, particularly Sandy.
Yes.
Way to die next to that soul suit.
Okay, this time I'm
It's
ready.
also complete horse shit. I mean, it's just... depending on how the RNG gods favour you today, I mean... It can be... easy or not. That's really Sandy key placement. He won't dress it up, he won't slop it on a pedestal or something like that. He puts them in really experimental locations half the time. If you think about the courtyard, for example, you got the blue key, which is just amongst health potions. Like it's supposed to be a health potion. It's supposed to be hidden there.
Well,
Doesn't
maybe
work,
it was the
but
intention.
it's still kind of funny.
Yeah, it's. I think we touched on this in the first session. The keys actually being in places where they could have reasonably been, I don't know, dropped by someone or something. Kind of silly in Doom, but still, I'm not going to complain if a key is not all on a pedestal like it was worshipped or something, and then you pick it up and doors open and enemies pour out.
Shrine to the key, yeah, nothing like that.
Well, some of these, at least the skull keys, look like they could have been like ancient artifacts of worship for Indiana Jones to find, but I guess demons really wouldn't do that sort of thing. Actually, I'm wondering now where, I guess it's probably a bit early to talk about hell levels before we actually get there. But still, I'm wondering if, since it's fresh on my mind, the topic, I'm wondering if you know what was the position of at least maybe just your position or position of some other people on the team about Doom 2's hell, whether or not it was better than or just acceptable or better than Doom 1's hell, or what did you guys think about it?
Well, I mean, given that, well, when I think of Doom 2's Hell, the first thing I think about is, incidentally, Sandy maps. In fact, when I think of Doom 2, like if you just to say Doom 2, I'd think of Sandy before I think of Romero and McGee, and that's just because of his, you know, the gimmicky maps I guess stand out for me most of all. And certainly when I think of Hell, I think more of the gimmicky maps, which tend to be almost in the majority. I'm not reading that, not this time.
Yeah, I forgot to change it. I wanted to change it to the simple fuck me sandwich.
But
oh well. Well, there's so many.
They really are laden with it. I mean, and until I came to study some of the maps in more detail, that there was actually more gimmicks in E3 than I realized. To the point where I think pretty much all of Sandy's maps, bar one or two, are centered around some sort of strong concept in a way that the other maps aren't. Barrels of Fun is an obvious one, everyone knows that. The Chasm also. But Monster Condo is an interesting one because it's the hints in the title, but it didn't occur to me until I looked at the monster counts for the map, in which I think it uses every single monster except for the Cacodome demon in some sort of, if not a horde, some sort of centralized area. You have the zombie library, and then you have the Hell Knights in that corner, and then you have the huge Revenant hordes, and the Pain Elemental room, and that Mancubus section. It's almost like they're compartments, like the title suggests. These are the living quarters for the demons, and they all have their own separate sort of places. And so all of a sudden, Map 27 to me became a gimmicky sort of a concept map, which I hadn't seen it as before. The Spirit Wall kind of, I mean, that's more just in the theme. But I mean, when I think of E3 Doom 2, that's predominantly what I think of at the moment. I don't think there was much discussion on the IRC channel or in the forums, for that matter, about how it differed so much from Doom 1, because I guess that was just an extra bonus discussion and wasn't really didn't really help us with the project goal, I guess. But it is certainly an interesting point to discuss. I mean, it didn't concern us at the time, and it doesn't actually concern me much now. Touchdown's arguments, because it doesn't really hold any water for the project goal. Maybe he's right in saying, well, certainly he's right in knowing what his own opinion is, but doesn't really matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't even matter to me, man. Because I mean, we're just trying to make it like Doom 2. It could be as shit as it likes, or what have you. It could be the worst depiction of hell imaginable. Well, not even strictly, using the word hell would be accurate, but that's what it is, and so that's how we make it. So if someone out there likes Doom 2, then the project's worth it.
I guess I was just curious about whether people who made the hell maps were conscious about, I don't know, what they were, just beyond trying to look like Doom 2. I mean, in the city episode, it's obvious that you're making a city, and you do not just have the same textures that the city maps of Doom 2, you're trying to make maybe a different part of a city or something. And I was wondering, but I guess it's a bit too early for that. We haven't got.
Well, no, I mean, I think in saying that we were focusing on the gimmicky aspect, where Sandy was concerned. That's where the discussion of E3 Doom 2 came in. As for McGee and Romero, it's simply a matter of, finding the sort of rough, hellish theme that coincides with whatever they did for Doom 2, and then sticking to their rules. That's it. So there wasn't actually much discussion beyond that at all. Certainly not as much as already has happened in the thread between yourself and Touchdown, which is quite a lot.
I wasn't really expecting like a discussion between you guys. I was just wondering if maybe you knew. I don't know. Did you make any other maps even in this project? Because I don't know beyond map 04.
Yeah, the hotly debated map 19 is my dastardly creation, and map 27, map 30.
Yeah, I forgot map 30. Yeah, remember that fact. So yeah, I guess I had a bit of wonder there. If whoa, why did I open the door and then immediately turn away from it?
I'll think more on the question, because it is possible that we did.
I'm not even meaning like the discussions. I was more like internally when any one of you was mapping. I wonder what was going through their heads when making a hell level. But once again, we get to there when we get to there.
Well, no, I mean, I guess I could probably elaborate a little bit with Essel's map 25, because I might have said in the previous session we were finding ways in which to, achieve the simplicity of a sandy map, for example, without copying what was essentially an unimprovable map. You know, with downtown, it's really elemental, it's really basic. You can't just repeat that. So in Tansman's case, he made the causeway, which is, you know, the progression was unique, but it was still inherently simple. So with Doom 2, chain gun rape.
That was fun.
With Doom 2's episode 3, we might have been thinking along the same lines. I mean, Essel might have been thinking along the same lines when he came up with map 25, and we'll discuss it more when we get to that. That's all I can think of at the moment on that discussion front. We'll have to get to hell, I guess.
Yeah.
So this is a map by Tansman. It was actually
wait.
the first that he made for the project. He remade it several times. He's never really satisfied with anything he makes, no matter the quality of it first time round. Romero map, clearly. Nothing really to remark. I mean, there's very little with Romero maps, honestly, once you've noted what his rules are. I mean, you look at the abandoned mines, it could just as well have been in episode 2 and 1, as some people have pointed out.
I don't even remember
the
Romero maps of episode 2 that well, apart from Gotcha, and that doesn't really feel to me like a Romero map. But, well, I guess I know which ones, well, I knew at some point which ones he didn't need to, but it doesn't really, they don't stand out as much as, I guess, the mines and the Circle of Death and such. They feel more close to, I guess, closer to the Romero style that I've seen in this WED so far. But I guess I'm not one to judge that sort of thing. There's so many people all around. Just gonna walk through this map and see if anything seems outrageously undoomy. Except
I mean, you're certainly qualified to say whether it feels.
Well, but yeah, it's not very. There is not much point because it's very subjective. But yeah, everyone is obviously qualified to say if it feels like something to them. But there's not always. That's not always useful as a feedback. Interesting. This texture always seemed to me like well, a human built stone wall, but here it seems to be used like some sort of cliff or something.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of moments in Doom 2 now that I think about it where I know it's not strictly speaking sort of organic looking texture as you just pointed out, but whenever he does use an organic texture, occasionally, rather, he'll just go crazy with the geometry. Like he'll click and drag and turn it into a goddamn zigzag. There's one part of the abandoned mines where the walls just eats up about, you know, like 50 vertices or something like that in Romero's attempt to make it look rugged. But it's really just sloppy. So I can't really see the quality of the stream. I'm not going to check it up in Doom Build at the moment, but it looks like that's what Tansman was thinking when he was making that. But then other times Romero will just be pretty neat, honestly. Like the tenements, he's got those little Zimmer tunnels.
I'm getting eaten in the darkness. Yep, there we go.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I love about software specters. In OpenGL I can always see them, but sometimes they do meld in pretty well.
Well, I can see them in better resolutions, but in this freaking resolution it's nearly impossible in dark places. And I forgot where I went for that. Here? No, that's locked. Oh, here I guess. I replayed some of the original Doom 2 maps at work this week, although instead of this WOD, and I found that Circle of Death on pistol start on UV is kind of bullshit. Until of course you find that freaking shotgun that's hidden right at the start. Without it, it was kind of tough. And I remembered the biggest dig part with chain gunners that I remembered from Doom 2. I kind of forgot about it last time when we were mentioning how there is way more chain gunner traps in here than I remember. And it's that one place in the pit, I think, where I don't remember where you actually pick up, but
rocket launcher and then chain
probably,
gunners.
Probably that. I guess it's memorable.
It's not fair.
Yeah, that one.
It's not fair in the slightest.
And
but
this is a
good opportunity to suggest to the listeners that if you haven't tried Doom 2's maps on pistol start instead of continuous playthrough, you absolutely must. Because there's so much evidence that suggests that it didn't really test the game properly on continuous playthrough, and it was pretty much all from pistol start. If you play certain maps, you'll be surprised at how difficult they suddenly turn out, and how right it feels that they feel so difficult to play. Whereas on this continuous play, you pick up all these items, and at opportune moments that it's kind of questionable as to whether design is intended or not, and you say to yourself, well, the game's just far too easy now, and it's obvious. Except for those, occasional bullshit moments, which Doom 2 is notorious for.
I still haven't managed the living end on pistol start on UV at all. I just cannot do it for some reason.
Is it fun though?
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Or is it just bullshit?
I don't know, it's fun up until the point where you die, and then it's bullshit.
That's true.
Interestingly enough, that one place, the chain guns and rocket launcher in the pit, the last second when I entered that room and picked up that whatever releases the chain gunners, I remembered with a sinking feeling that, oh shit, I remember this place now, and I didn't actually have that much trouble with it. I don't know, I just kind of hid behind the corner there, I guess.
Your screen just turned red. Yeah.
And, well yeah, it's... Although the second bullshit moment that I never encountered before, for some reason, and this time it killed me and forced me to, well, not forced me obviously, but made me not want to retry the map, is refueling base at the very end. I guess I went into the wrong door there, had to choose between blue and yellow. I don't really remember that map too well, so I went into what was the exit area, I guess, and I remember there should have been a cyber demon around here somewhere, and then he just went, ooh, boof, and I'm dead. And so that was kind of, I guess it's even more bullshit, because in that situation I don't think I had anywhere to hide from him, so I don't know what anyone was thinking making that place.
Actually, for a moment there, I forgot that you were playing on Ultraviolence, and I was about to say there was a Baron there instead, because that's what there is there, I think, on skill 2, if not skill 3. But it seems like a good opportunity also to note that we give the folks at id a lot of slack for some of the choices or lack of choices in level design, just how lazy they are. But when it comes to skill settings, they actually did a pretty good job. They did a lot more than what many modern mappers tend to do, which is to simply cut down a monster count or add more ammo. Or don't even do that half the time, it's just usually the monster count. But they went to a great deal of care to reconstruct the gameplay encounters, such that if you play a map on Hurt Me Plenty, it'll sometimes turn out quite differently than if you played it on Ultraviolence, and in more ways than just how difficult it is. You'll find yourself, moving about a room or an entire map in different ways. Not necessarily, and that's a bit of an exaggeration, of course, but there's a bit of thought put into it.
Wasn't there an instance where they moved like a key for different difficulties, or was it in either Plutonia or TNT? I don't really remember that well. I remember there being something like that about the key being in a different place on different difficulties.
Oh, in McGee's map 6, yeah, that's right.
Oh.
The red key, I think it is on that massive lift on the far west side of the room. And then on easy, it's on the first ledge that you jump to. And then medium, I think it's halfway in between or something.
Interesting.
Or 3 difficult, yeah. I think it's also the case with E3M6. With the original Doom.
Speaking of, well, not really speaking of, but we were talking about pistol start earlier, and I think I am actually going to, in free time after this let's play, I think I'm going to give all the maps of this WOD a try with pistol start, because
that's dedication.
I'm one. Well, I don't know. I just, as I said before, I kind of pick WODs that I decide to care about more than others, and I can actually, well, be arsed to go and replay a lot of those WODs, and this one is one of them, obviously. So
well, that's great.
I'm treating it like.
You should tell us what you think of the maps, if they're playing it differently.
Yeah, well, maybe before like the very last session, so that I can actually say it on camera and not in a thread where no one will read it. But
I renounce my love of Doom 2 the way it did.
I hate it.
I played it again and it was atrocious.